recording. Jennifer, how are you?
I am doing great, Jake. How are you?
Good. I love that we're doing this a little ahead of time. We want to I want everybody to enjoy their Thanksgiving holiday. And honestly, I don't know about you, but I have a lot of shopping to do and a lot of peeling of potatoes. My family makes a ridiculous, what we call the army amount of potatoes for Thanksgiving and
Yes.
gravy to go with it.
That's
I
the
tell
best
this
part,
anecdote.
though.
I tell this anecdote all the time. We have individual gravy boats for our dinner. So we don't have one shared gravy boat. We all
Oh
have a gravy boat because we
my
use
God,
so
are
much
you
gravy.
kidding? I need
Yeah.
to be invited to your
It,
Thanksgiving because gravy is my favorite. We do have two different gravy boats, though, because my mom likes gravy with giblets in it, all the heart and liver and
yeah.
stuff. I
Yeah.
can't do that. So I
Yeah.
have to have the one without all that stuff in it.
Yeah. I'm more of the traditional like white gravy, but I do like both. But yeah, we
Mhm.
we are a family of gravy eaters. So that being said, to me, um, It's my favorite holiday. And
Mine
when I
too.
when I think of Thanksgiving, and here's my segue to the topic that we're going to talk about, right? It's a little bit of reflection, it's a little bit of planning. It's thankful for the year we had. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but that's the Thanksgiving holiday. And to me, this idea of business planning by the numbers really revolves around that. And we'll talk about a few things that we reflect on what happened over the course of the year, just like we do at Thanksgiving. And so to frame all of this, and in case this is your first call that you've joined us for, welcome. There's a whole series of these coming up, and you can see that ultimately what we've done is we've divided your business owner hat into these 5 areas: roadmap, innovation, brand position, operating system, and financial acumen. And each of those areas has strategies to help you sort of focus and build your business in that area. And what we're going to do on a bi-weekly basis as we move through the year is pick one individual sort of large area, right? In this case, financial acumen, and narrow it down to one of the bullet points and sort of talk about how to build your business around that, right? And this topic for Thanksgiving, I am competent with the financial levers of my business that I can control. So it's a lot of fancy words, right? But what it talks about is business planning. How do we plan our business? And sometimes sounds funny to say plan because sometimes the business happens to us and sometimes we happen to the business. And that's really the core of where I want to go with this idea. I made a note for myself. Um, Although we may not always be able to control these levers, they are the core of our business. And to me, this becomes the idea of the awareness of how those levers over time make bigger impacts to our physical health, not our physical, but our physical health, really highlights the importance of the daily activities, right? We've got this long term goal. What are we doing on a daily basis to make those things happen? And to me, this business planning idea is really where it comes down to it. Jennifer, what are your thoughts on business planning from your past? Even if we
Well,
talk about from a school standpoint, from an educator standpoint,
right.
I would love to hear this.
Right. Well, I was in charge of a whole building's budget, so I absolutely had to know my numbers all the time. And one of my favorite things that you and Christian talked about in the risk management and running your business like a business mastercraft session was that many people in real estate do their business by accident instead of on purpose. And I think by knowing what our numbers are, you have to do it on purpose. And I definitely had to be purposeful with my budget. There was no going over. And at the end of the year, if you don't spend your money, you
Right,
lose it. It's
right,
gone. You have
yeah.
to use the money. So it's a little bit different coming into the business world, but I think it's really important for everybody to actually know what their numbers are so that they can do their business on purpose.
I love that, and I say all the time, and I say this like sort of sarcastically, tongue in cheek, like I don't care about your numbers. I don't care what your numbers are. To say that I need you to care about them immensely. Like if somebody's like, I only want to do 3 transactions a year, Jake, I'm like, cool. That's all I care about is that you know what your number is. I don't care what number you choose. That's your decision. My level of passion for this is like, I need you to know what number that is. And I don't care. It could be 3, it could be 30, it could be 300, but I need you to know what that is. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit today. And
Mhm.
I threw this slide in on last minute. I hope you don't mind.
No, not at
This
all.
sticks with me all the time. And my past with Brian Buffini and working for him, and I probably heard this quote 1,000 times easily, but it still sticks with me. And I'm just as guilty of this as I think everyone else, right? If we aim at nothing, you hit it every time. Brian sort of paraphrases it: if you aim for nothing, you hit it with amazing accuracy, right? Like they both work, right? And I think, to your point, that's where most business owners, I'll say, particularly in real estate, sort of are.
Mhm.
I love to ask at the 6-month point, hey, so how's your business so far, and where do you think you're going to end up at the end of the year? And when I get this, like, I don't know, we'll see. I'm like,
Mm.
man, that's a tough spot to be in. You can't, think about it from a business standpoint. You can't anticipate, you can't project, you can't build, you can't do things for the school, for the community, for you. From a real estate perspective, I can't plan vacations, I can't invest in things, I don't know if I can buy a new car, all of those things. And sometimes I have to lay it on a little thick for everyone, and I don't mind doing it for business planning. But the people that rely on those decisions to at least be known sort of suffer at the hands. Like, well, I thought we were going to do this. I thought we were going to do this financially. Now we can't, right? I
Right.
say that, and I know that sounds tough. And I sometimes when I say it out loud, I'm saying it to myself because you're like, hey, Jake, you had some financial plans this year as well. So how are those going? Uh, we've got to find something to aim for. I'd rather us miss every single time, but have something that we're actually aiming for, just to have that piece. And I don't want to, sort of stand on that soapbox a little bit, but I did add one more slide, and then I'll come to you, Jennifer, because I feel like
Okay.
this is going to like help solidify it for us.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear the. So I made this video. I made that video a few weeks ago after we did sort of the VCP piece, and I was like, hey, let's do something cheesy. And you were there and filmed it. And
Mhm.
I wanted
Okay.
this sort of like lockstep sort of idea. And I didn't really have a plan for it. But yesterday when I was working on the slides, I'm like, wait a minute. Joanna said something in our business meeting yesterday, and I want to echo something I said in the previous slide. And I promise I'm almost done pontificating. But here's the thing. All three of our amazing managers rely on the agents in the office to make their plan
Mhm.
so that Joanna can make her plan so that Mike and the leadership team can get all of the plans. Right now, I'm going to lay it on thick. Right. So when you're listening to this as an agent and you're like, I just sort of pick a number. Here's the thing. I'm okay with that. Like, I don't love that, but I'm okay with just picking a number. But I
Mhm.
want you to know that when you pick that number, that we take that number and we sort of build a business on it,
Yeah.
right? That determines what we can do as an organization, the things we invest in, our plan, our sort of big picture ideas. That's, Joanna said that yesterday, and shout out to her and to all the managers, because they do the same thing. They're like, I plan on you guys doing this so that we do this so that they do this. And whether those numbers are met or not, we depend on them and use them. So I just wanted to sort of get that on the record to say, like, hey, when we do these things, it affects a lot of people sort of in that space. Not to put pressure on you,
Right.
just so everybody gets the sense of how that actually matters to us. So Jennifer, thoughts on that?
Absolutely. We want to do great things, and we want to keep rolling out awesome products to our agents. And
Mhm.
bottom line is the bottom line.
Yeah.
We have to make money to spend money on you.
Yeah.
And so,
And truthfully, I am not a financial person. My joke for the last, I don't know, 50 years at this point has been, I've got money I haven't even earned yet. Like, it's my way of justifying maybe some frivolous expenses.
yes.
All right, let's talk about the stuff. Um Here's the first page, and Jennifer, you've got all this stuff that we've put together for them. We'll send that out in the link so they can access sort of the not just the new 2026 GPS, but the 2025. If you went through that in the last couple of years, it's the same content. We really just sort of updated it. Truth is, business planning doesn't really change. It's still based on the stuff we're staring at right now. And I do want to point out, because I know that we've got a sort of a little document that talks about it, but the My Reports tab button on Okta is fantastic for any of the agents listening to this. If you're part of Better Homes and Gardens, Kansas City Homes, you have access to this to go in at any time and look at all of your data. I say it all the time. Data gives us clarity, and clarity is kindness. It may not feel very kind when we look at our numbers, but numbers don't lie. They take this out of the conversation and they make it up here, right? It is my number, and knowing those numbers and making a decision how you want to move forward with that is crucial. So the My Reports section, go in and look at that and get a sense of the reports. And if you have questions, reach out to us. Mike is sort of the unsung hero behind the scenes. And I love that we can go to that guy and ask him some crazy number question. And he's got it just pops out a number. It's like the coolest thing ever. If you have questions about how your numbers work and you want to dig into this stuff, please reach out to us, because truthfully, we love to have these conversations.
Well, so, can I interject for just a second? So that tile is in Okta. If you're not sure how to navigate it and pull your numbers or what numbers you want to pull, if you go into the Master Your Craft button, also in Okta, or on your green pages, there is a document in our business planning session 2 folder that says prep for business planning. And that is where you will find the instructions for pulling your numbers.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you. Oh, am I a little delayed? Did I just get a little delayed for a second?
Just a little bit, but you've cleared back up.
All right, perfect. So a couple things. So we can do this any number of ways. A lot of agents will take that first left column and put in our current numbers and maybe, add them or fluff them up a little bit so they get through the end of the year. But really, we think of business planning as a January to January thing, but business planning is a November to November thing. It's still 12 months, no matter when you. So, you might write 2025 in that first column, and then maybe you've got 2026 in the second. Maybe you add 30%, maybe you add 20%, maybe you keep it the same. I don't care, lovingly, what happens in that middle column, but I would challenge you in that third column to approach it a few different ways. Maybe the third column is what you hear called a stretch goal, where it's like, man, that's crazy. It's doable, but it's crazy. But what would that look like? And maybe you keep the rest of the numbers pretty much the same, but you increase your average sales price by 100,000. Or you look at some number in your database, and maybe you switch from working with less buyers and more listings. So you've got a little more control over things. Maybe you do 1 extra listing or 2 extra listings. What if you just change one number a little bit and start to look at what those numbers actually look like as it frames out over the course of the year? Again, I'll reference Brian Buffini, because that's where I really built the core of my sort of business mindset a little bit. And, he talks about that deal where it's like 1 extra transaction, no matter what your average sales price is kind of fun money. It's like, if I do 12 transactions, that's my plan, but I get 13, that's the fun money. That's the thing that I get to reward myself with. So however you get these numbers, give yourself a little bit of a what if sort of piece. Maybe you don't share that with everybody, or maybe you share it with your partner, your accountability person that you have in your life, whatever, to say like, hey, if this happens, it'd be awesome. But I challenge you to sort of look to see what that might be. Now, I do know that your manager and the rest of us would love to have these numbers for you. I know your managers are going to ask you to sort of add this in so they get a sense of what that looks like as you do your business planning for the year. They do their business planning. We do our business planning, right? We're all in business planning mode right now. So, Jennifer, any thoughts on those pieces? It's a lot of numbers that hopefully the agents are focusing on and looking at on a regular basis. We can't just look at them in November, but sometimes we do.
Right. And I really like the idea of putting your stretch goal there. The middle column is your realistic goal for 2026, what you think you can do, but then the stretch goal goes beyond that. I think that's a great idea. And we have all of these sessions. The whole point of doing all of these action series sessions are to help you reach that stretch goal. How can we help you build your business and get to that stretch goal? So make sure that you're taking advantage of all of these sessions that we're doing and all of the education pieces that we do have.
I love that you say it that way too. And I sometimes like, that's sort of the idea that like all of these little sessions are just a little lever that if we apply a little pressure to it, it's going to change over the course of time and whatever the topic might be. So that's a great way to reframe that. Thank you. So there's another page in this book, and I don't mind saying this. I'm kind of a fan of journaling, and I sometimes call it my adult diary, and I'm okay with that idea because it goes back to something that I try to do consistently, and sometimes I drop the ball, and it goes back to a phrase that you've heard me say before: track, measure, improve, which honestly is really just what a diary is. It's just a big journal of sort of daily habits and things like that. For me, what I look at it, and the reason I use those words, right? If I track something, if I pay attention to something and I give it intention, then I can compare it over time, right? Like, sometimes it's just a simple matter of like bad day, bad day, bad day. And then I look back and I'm like, well, why were those bad days according to Jake? And you see a pattern and you're like, oh, well, I got to play it. I didn't eat breakfast. Like, that's the reason, right? So now measure, right? I can say like, when I do these things, this happens. When I do these things, this happens. Now I have the opportunity to improve, which is just a big way of saying what we pay attention to gives us the opportunity to sort of change that thing. And for me, whether it's an end of the year, big reflection, what went well, what didn't go well, I love that we do that, right? Here's what I know, Jennifer, and you're an educator, and I bet you've got tons of great content about this. Which one of those things is it easier to remember?
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. It's easiest to remember what didn't go well, but it's hardest to be honest about that with ourselves.
It is.
So when you were talking about that, I was thinking about, okay, as we went through and checked on that, running your business like a business, what have I mastered? What haven't I mastered?
Mm-hmm.
It does you no good to not be honest with yourself about those things. If you're not really doing something that could help your business, you did not do that well, right? And maybe that's the piece that you can improve on that will grow your business or help you reach your goal. So I think it's really important to be honest with ourselves about what things maybe did not go well and what is that lever that we could, press on to improve our business.
I love that. And the other side of that coin, what went well, we're humans and I love us, but man, we are not super good at celebrating ourselves sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I am not very good at it, and I am continually working to be better at my own self-talk. Here's what has helped me immensely is I literally do have a big book that I waste all the pages in, which also feels really weird to waste all the pages. But at the end of the day, I do this. I'm like, what went well? What didn't go well? And then mentally, it's my little trick. I turn the page. So it's like my own forgiveness to be like, and it's a new day. And then at the top of the page, I write, what do I want to get done today? Right.
Awesome.
So when I wake up, it's super cheesy and I don't mind saying it out loud. It has helped me in more ways than I can possibly express in a lot of different times, because now what happens is, if I need to feel better, because I'm like, man, am I even doing anything anymore? I just have to flip back through a couple pages and be like, you know what? Apparently I was good that day. So that's a cool thing. And at the end of the year, you get 364 little like positive things for yourself. I cannot stress that enough. No matter how you're wired, I promise you that whatever you write for yourself will be a nice little note for future Jake of all the good things that you did. So that's my sort of like spin on that from a psychological take. and it works. I can trick myself like nobody's business. Jennifer, do you have any other thoughts on that you want to share?
No, I can't top that one, Jake. That's pretty awesome. I might have to take that up. That might be my New Year's resolution this year.
It has worked more than you could possibly. And like I said, sometimes I don't always go back to the notebooks, but they're there, and I know that I must have written some nice things about myself. So that's good. So switching gears a little bit, and as we sort of come to the end of our call, we will talk more about this in an upcoming session. And I think we've got that scheduled probably for very early in the year, just sort of our marketing plan. But this to me really speaks to games. So if we start this process after this call, that's great. And as you through the next weeks into January, I think that's going to be an okay thing. It's just our marketing activities. What do we want to commit to do every month if we have an activity? Is there any quarterly activities we want to do? And obviously, we just took a screenshot of the first 2 quarters, but they go into quarter 3 and quarter 4. And here's the thing. Maybe you just fill out the first 2 quarters. You're like, I don't know what I want to do the second half of the year. I actually love that idea that you want to pause at 6 months and say, maybe I want to do something different in the next 6 months. But putting this stuff in the calendar, and Jennifer is an educator again and a background in this, my guess is you have a calendar filled out not just for the year, but probably temp calendar for the following year or 2, right?
Yes, I do. I am a fairly organized person. I would say that's one of my big strengths, is being organized. And in fact, Jake, I actually put in the learning calendar yesterday at the end of each quarter to check your online platforms. So it's there already ready for the agents. If you subscribe to that calendar, I hope you do.
I love it. I love it so much. And if you don't subscribe to that calendar, please reach out to us and let us know, because that is definitely the cornerstone of sort of all the pieces. And and if I look at this calendar, there's that adage. I have to think through the words again, but it's like, almost having that super extreme, what I think of as a school calendar. It's that big laminated one that's like ginormous.
Oh yeah.
I cannot plan from a digital calendar. My mind just, I put things in my digital calendar, but when I need to look at something to plan, I need that big calendar. And, for me, like almost started in the reverse. Like, do I want to take a vacation? Do I have these, what I call the non-negotiables? Like, you heard me say this. Hopefully everyone's heard me say this. If Hamilton has something going on, I'm going to find a way to be in San Diego for that. And that's my non-negotiable. I'm like, here's the cadence of time I want to spend with him. He's got something going up. That's the first thing in my calendar, so that every other thing gets planned around that. And I think most of us miss that opportunity to take care of ourselves. Like, hey, there's a vacation in the calendar. I'm going to find a way to be on that vacation come May, no matter what. Right. But I'm making the intention to put the vacation in the calendar, the things that are non-negotiables for us with family, friends, and, even just from a business standpoint, like, am I going to do monthly mailings? Am I going to do a bi or twice a year client party? Am I going to do a video every month? Right? What are we talking about to put them in? I think setting that tone and looking at it from a large view to say, oh, that's actually a lot, but that's a good thing. I've got a touch point every month, whatever that looks like. Getting that calendar in, and we'll talk more about that. I'll beat that horse a little bit more in a next session. Jennifer, thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I think that it's too easy to let the months pass by, and you just kind of put things off. I think it's really important to have this tactical plan is perfect for doing that big picture so that you can plan all the other things around it. And if you don't commit to it, then it's really difficult to cram all that stuff in at the end. And then you're bombarding your clients and yourself. You're not being
Totally.
fair to yourself.
Yeah. And again, I say it with the forgiveness sort of tongue in cheek. I'd rather you write it down and not do it than not even write it down, right? Like, that is a little bit of step in the right direction. At least I wrote it down. I still didn't do it. Honestly, that's a better spot to be in, because you're thinking, in my mind, like tactically from your business. So
yes, agreed.
So then all these things to me come together big picture. And I
Mhm.
love how you frame this for us. If you had the chance to do running your business like a business and you went through what we call the wheel, right? And you rated yourself, all of those things, you probably got two takeaways. Like, these are the areas that I want to focus on. And maybe you just select one of those and say to yourself, if that's the thing that I really want to focus on, then you need to have strategies, right? I need to have sort of an idea of how I might accomplish those things. And then, of course, each strategy breaks down into tactics. It really just means, what are the habits that I'm going to do on a regular basis to make those things happen? There's a great quote, and maybe you know this one, Jennifer. It's not show me your friends, but I'll show you who you are. It's like, show me your habits and I'll
Mm.
tell you who you are. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
it
I like
stings a little bit, and I like it, right?
it. Yes.
It's like, show me the things you do consistently, and I'll tell you who you are, because
Mhm.
those tactical things we do on a consistent basis are sort of who we are, good, bad, or ugly, right? Sometimes. Um, to me, these goals, whether you share them with us, with your manager, with your accountability partner, somebody needs to know what these are. And I think that's when it lives up here, it's okay. But also, I don't know about you guys, but up here is not the best place all the time. Sometimes I get in my own way. So having Jennifer for me to help hold me accountable for those things is awesome. She has a different perspective than I do. I wholly encourage accountability partners in all of our areas of our
Mhm.
business. Jennifer,
No, I
you got
agree. And this is a screenshot again of just like the top half of the page. If you go to the folder for business planning, the whole GPS goal planning strategy workbook is in there, and the full pages are there for anybody to print off and use, or just use. You don't have to print it. You don't have to use
yep,
paper.
yep. Do something with this. So let's bring it home. I know we're right about at time, Jennifer.
Yes.
Here, I'll let you I'll let you I'll let you bring us home.
Great. So planning for, so the cadence for these are that Jake and I are going to give you some information on Thursdays. And then on Tuesday, the following Tuesday, you go into your business meeting and it's a workshop. So we're actually doing the work on those days. So you're not getting the information twice, but you're getting the information. Bring something to the meeting, and then we're going to act on it to help you with your plan. So for the meeting on Tuesday, what are your numbers? So make sure that you're looking at, you have an idea of what your actual numbers are. If you don't know what they are, it's really hard to make a plan. So access that, prep for your business planning, access your reports, look at what your financial
Mhm.
goals are. There's that page with the 3 columns. Set those, put what your 2025 was, what you would like to do in 2026. And then I really like Jake's suggestion, the stretch goal, and then make a plan. How are you going to get there? What are you going to do to get to that goal? Just your realistic goal, not even your stretch goal. What are you going to do? And then, kind of like Jake said, I had to write it down because I thought it was so awesome. Track, measure, and improve. And I kind of have that on here. I just didn't have the great saying on
You
here,
do. Yeah.
but track them, know what your numbers are throughout the year. And then if you have to adjust your plan, you adjust your plan.
Life, I mean, honestly, life is all about course correction. I would love to aim something and hit it every time, but man, that has not been my 53-year experience in this life.
Nobody's perfect, Jake. You can't,
Yeah.
no plan is perfect. No person is
Yep.
perfect, so it's all about learning and adjusting. And same thing here, you have a plan. If it doesn't work, you don't just forget the plan,
Yeah.
you adjust it.
Yep. And it made me think that we might as well add, just to that already quarterly like review my profile piece, we might as well just add to that same topic review my business plan, right? Like, let's do both of those let's do both of those things on a quarterly basis. I know you already thought of it. I know you're living inside Jake's brain already, so I appreciate that.
I've got to write these notes down, Jake.
I know. Which
Uh,
is what I rely on.
But so make sure when you come to the meeting on Tuesday, you're bringing your numbers with you. If you want to print off that packet, you can print off that packet, or just be familiar with what's in it so that you can participate in the activity that we have planned.
Jennifer, you're awesome. Thanks for all. I enjoy this. I hope our agents are getting some value from this. I feel like this is something that I'm going to say this. I don't know that a whole lot of other companies are doing this level of not just idea knowledge share, but actual action and activity, right? Like we're pairing the thing with, I mean, here's the thing. I know this to be true about you, Jennifer. I want these agents to be successful. It's important to me. I love what I do, and I want you guys to be successful, and I want your success to be what it looks like to you. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes within reason to make that stuff happen all the time.
Absolutely.
All right, Jennifer, thank you. I will see you very soon. Take care, everybody.
Good. Happy Thanksgiving.